I always say this. I don't want to be married to you. I want you to be married to me. And what I mean by that is, I don't want you to be infatuated with the fact of being married. I want you to want me.
Yes.
And then we're married.
Yes.
Because I don't ever want to feel like I could be anyone.
Welcome to Get Real with Alexis Jones. On this podcast, we'll dive into real relationships with real people, guided by the wisdom and perspective of some of the most seasoned voices in our community, our beloved seniors. Each week, we'll unpack the joys, challenges, and lessons learned about love, family, friendship, and everything in between. This is a space for heartfelt conversations, eye-opening truths, and powerful stories that will inspire and challenge the way you think about relationships. We're keeping it honest, unfiltered, and deeply meaningful. So settle in and let's get ready to get real. Let's jump in. Well, welcome. I am so glad to have my brother here today, Dr. James R. Cooper. He's visiting here from Rochester. I live in Atlanta. And before we get into the topic for today, I want you to know a little bit about him. So I welcome all the questions that's asked. If he's older, if I'm older, just keep them coming. Just keep them coming. But let me ask you, brother. That's what I call him when I love him. Tell tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, that sounds like an interview question. Let me rephrase that. Tell me where you are in your life and how you got there.
Where I am in my life. Well, um, I am now 62 years old, and I started working for Xerox back in the early 80s, and became a vice president there. And then was relocated to several locations throughout the United States. So from Cleveland to Southern California to Portland, Oregon, and then to our headquarters in Rochester, where I've spent basically the last 20 years. And after a retirement about 10 years ago, I became a full-time pastor. I was pastoring prior to that, but once I left Xerox, I started pastoring full time. And since then, I got married, have two grown children that I love and adore, and I'm so proud of them. And and so I've been pastoring, and I'm just looking at the rest of my life and figuring out what I want to do. I went back and got my doctorate last year. Took some classes at Wharton School of Business, looking to do some consulting work, and just trying to figure out what's going to be the next phase of my life. So I happen to have a great sister,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful for her and what she's been in my life all these years.
Yeah. You know, we should really do a show on just your life. We didn't plan to do that. And maybe we'll plan another session, but you only promised me one recording session. So I don't know how to get everything I want to get in, but I'm going to try. Um, my brother has an interesting journey. He's had an interesting journey. And you just need to write a book, which I think he's working on, and you'll get to know a little bit more about him. Maybe we'll talk again once your book is published. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Matter of fact,
Yeah.
once the book is finished, I'll do it here first. You'll be the first interview.
Yay! On Get Real with Alexis. Let's do it. Okay.
That's right.
Let me tell the audience why one of the main reasons I invited you here today. Because I was with you and your family last November, and you all like some of the reality shows that I typically hate. But I kind of got hooked on this one that you all were watching called Later Daters. And I think it's produced by Michelle Obama, which most people were surprised to see her name attached to it. But in essence, for those that don't know, these are seniors who are dating again and looking for love in their senior years. Well, I'm a senior and you're a senior, but you're not looking for love. I may or may not be. I don't know. But it was really an interesting uh, episode, or those episodes are really interesting. So, what happens in these reality shows is they are grounds for a lot of good conversation, a lot of good debate. And so I was watching the different couples and the interaction, and there was one guy, I think he was in his late 50s, because these were for people 55 and older. Can't remember his name, but what stood out to me was that he had this beautiful home and everything was in close. I mean, everything. It was immaculate. It was pristine. And I was just admiring his home and looking at him. He was thinking about dating and all of that. And I remember saying something to you about him, and your comment was, he doesn't need to be dating because he doesn't have space for anybody. Like, what are you talking about? So I want you to take it from there. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
let me
first of all,
say this. Let me say this. So, and the other reason I wanted to talk to you from that perspective is that you have the opportunity to counsel a lot of couples who want to get married. So you're bringing a lot of background information to the table. So that's why I want to pick your brain.
all right. So, yeah, the show was something that kind of captivated me. At first, I really didn't want to see it, but it was during the holidays, and you know how you try to find things that, my grown children would be interested in, and we could all watch together. And I thought it was just another one of those reality shows that showed a negative side of Black prosperity, like some of the other shows. I won't even go into some of the names. And then I was also a little interested because it was produced by Michelle Obama,
Mhm.
who I have a lot of respect for, and I knew she wouldn't just put together a bunch of mess.
Right.
And so I started watching it, and as I got into it a little bit further, I saw that it was more than just about a dating show. It was more about reflection on our lives, and as you get older, how your dating requirements and your dating and what it means to date becomes a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And the young man that you were speaking of, a very impressive young man, but he had spent his life putting things very much in order. And as I watched it, I felt like there's no room for anyone else to be in his space. And when I say space, I mean his physical space, his spiritual space, his social space, because everything was so lined up and so defined
Mm-hmm.
that I really didn't see how anybody could fit into that. Because you'll always be in a position where you feel like it's his space. He wants things this way. And it would be difficult for someone to be in a relationship and tiptoe around all of the intricacies of his demands on the way his life has been set up. And so to me, it just seemed like he has no room to date. There's no one can fit into his space. And he wasn't the only one. There were others on the show I felt the same way about.
So let me follow up with that. If this young man came to be counseled by you, and he's looking for love, looking to marry, and he's this person that really doesn't have the space, as you described, in those different areas to accommodate another person, but he wants one. What 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 would you say to him?
Okay, so the first thing is we'd have to do some real counseling around his willingness to compromise.
Mm,
You know,
mm,
are you really willing to allow for that pot that you left in that particular space? How will you react and how will you respond when you come back and it's not right there?
yeah.
Okay. How will you, where do you make room for a woman's makeup and
Mm,
shoes and clothes? How will that look? How will it look when someone, is not as neat as you comes and messes up your space? How will you respond if there's a dirty dish on the sink? How will you respond to those kind of things? And try to help him understand that when you start sharing space, it's no longer your space. It's not your space, it's our space.
mm.
And they have a right to, if I want that cup there, it needs to stay there. Are you going to be okay with that?
Ooh, well, I'll tell you, based on my experience, that would be hard for that person with that personality.
Yeah, even just having someone around all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're used to coming home and you close the door and there's no one there. You can do whatever you want to do. You can say what you can burp and fart and all those kind of things. And nobody's there to say, what is that? Right.
Right. Clean up,
Right.
not
And so,
cook, not cook, all of that.
exactly.
Hmm.
Is there room for that?
Yeah.
Or will you get a person who you expect to be so compliant that eventually they will feel like a mechanism or a robot living in your world?
Yeah.
And I don't know that that constitutes a real relationship.
Right. I wouldn't want to be the robot. First of all, I don't have the personality to be that compliant. I think I could compromise. I believe I could. But to make sure that you're not upset with me if I put the cup in the wrong cabinet, I don't think I could do that. I just couldn't. So you made it. We also had this interesting discussion. And I've had this with friends of mine. I live in a condominium. I'm in a downtown area of a small city, and I really like it. It's walkable, and it's pleasant around here. I can walk across the street to the restaurant, and all the things that I like and need. I'm comfortable. And there are a couple things here. One is they say that as we get older, we get set in our ways. I never owned that, but there is some truth to that because I'm not as rigid as the young man that we're talking about, but all my stuff is here. All my stuff is here, and I don't know. Here's an honest question that I really don't think I want you to answer. But ask myself after you talked about this, do I have space? Do I have space? Do I have to make space? If that's what it's going to require. And can I share with the audience what I shared with you? Sure. Okay, let's talk about this. Because I went out to dinner with one of my friends, and we were talking about this very subject. And here's what we think as seniors who are independent, we live by ourselves. We don't have a problem with that, but we like companionship. I like men. I think men are incredible. I think men are wonderful. Here's the thing. I have friends who say, Alexis, would you get married again? And normally I'll say, no, I don't know. But here's an ideal situation that I want you to respond to. I think I could do it and be so happy if he stayed in his place and I stayed in my place. Nobody has to move. And we could just visit each other whenever we wanted to. And just like dating, really, we're really, love that. And that water my things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it. Tell me what you need.
Yeah, first of all, when we were talking about the young man that we were just talking about, that was to me that was an extreme case, and I'm not at all as saying that older people shouldn't date or don't have room in their lives for someone else. I'm not at all saying that. So I want to be very, very clear. I don't see anything wrong with older people marrying, dating, having friendships or situationships or whatever they want to call it. I don't have an issue with that. However, I think that as you get older, your criteria may change. Let me give you a prime example. If you're 25 years old, you're 25 years old, you should not be dating a man or a guy that's not working. The point blank period. Well, either you got to work for somebody else or you got to work for yourself. That's just the criteria. When you're 70 years old, there's a good possibility ain't nobody working.
Well, I didn't feel my age. Go ahead.
Well, but I'm just saying at 70 years old, nobody, I mean, most people are retired or looking to retire or they're semi-retired or doing like that. So the criteria changes, right? And so if your partner is comfortable with that, then why not? Why not? I still believe very firmly in marriage and marriage before sex.
Mhm.
So even y'all may live in different places, but by the same token, y'all need to be married. And by the way, we are also living in an age now where geography is not that important. It is not unusual for a person in Atlanta to meet someone in LA or somebody in Florida to meet someone in Baltimore. So that's not that unusual. So if it works for you all and you all are in agreement with it long term, because at some point somebody might change their mind. You got to make sure that both of you are in agreement with it, and it's not a situation. And also you got to consider, is this a monogamous relationship? Is it just you and me? I understand we may not be living together and be together every evening, but when we're not together, what is that relationship like with other women or other men? So I think you just need to come to that agreement and an understanding and make sure that it's long term. Because the worst thing you want to get into is it was okay then, but now that we've been in it for a couple of years, it's not okay.
Yeah.
That's not to say that the situation can change, but if it changes, both of you need to be open to the change at that time. So you may be living one place, I may be living someplace else 3-4 years down the road. This doesn't make any sense. Are you good with it? I'm good with it. Let's come together. Let's sell your house, sell my house, get one house, and we're good.
Yeah. I think what I like about this stage in my life is I feel like we have options. We have options, as you mentioned, that we don't have or we didn't have earlier when we were raising the family and doing all.
Exactly.
You're in the grind, raising your kids and making everything, going to PTA meetings and wiping doses and all of that. This is an exciting time of life to me. My goal is to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can so that I can enjoy as much of life that I can. And so,
Yes.
I kind of like exploring new ways of doing things. And I'll tell you what happens also. When you get older, you are not as concerned about what people think. It's not that I don't care, but it doesn't drive me. It doesn't drive me. I have to figure out what I believe is right or wrong or good or bad for me, and let that, and of course the word of God, that's a given, be my driver.
Yeah.
But people tend to be, they want to put you in a little box because that's comfortable. And I'm not even saying that in a critical way. people tend to want to put you in a little box because they're in that box, they're in that safe little box, and it really makes them uncomfortable if you try to get out of the box. And really,
Yeah,
go ahead.
but being in the box is a choice.
Yeah,
Being outside the box is a choice.
yeah,
As a matter of fact, even the box is a choice,
yes,
right? I mean, so we got to understand the dynamics of relationships can be different. I tell couples this when I counsel them. What works for my house may not work for yours. And what works in your house may not work for mine. Now, yeah, we have biblical parameters, but by the same token, you got to do what's best for you and for your wife or your husband. You got to do what's best for you all together so that you all can be happy and have a lasting relationship. Because, and I heard this said too, you want to live together, not die together,
mm,
you know? And so, so you have to decide what kind of relationship you want, what are going to be the parameters. And it really doesn't matter what a lot of other people think. The Bible says the multitude of counsel, there's wisdom. Yeah, I don't mind listening, but at the end of the day, your criteria is it biblical or is it not?
yeah,
Okay. If you're inside of that, then create your own box or don't have a box.
I like
But
that.
yeah, so you're right. When you get older, the parameters and the requirements for your relationship can change. And in most cases, it does change because you don't have the same kind of requirements.
Yeah,
I'll give you another thing. Okay, I've been married for 34 years, right?
30.
And 34 years. I've been married for 34 years. At 70, chances are you're not going to be married for another 34 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, enjoy every moment of it.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy every moment. If you've got somebody you can't enjoy the moments with, then you don't have time to. We don't have time to waste.
Yeah.
We don't have time to play games.
Mm.
We don't have time to. Does she like me or does she not like me? We don't have time for. I don't know if I want to be in this relationship or not. We don't have time for. You call one day and you don't call the next day. We don't have time for that.
Yes, I hate
You know.
that.
Either we're going to be together or we're not going to be together.
Yeah.
At 70 years old, you ought to know what you want and what you don't want. So don't give me that, And if you just want to be a player, just be a player, but don't mess with people that don't want to play it.
Yeah, yeah. And say what you mean. If you want, say what you want. If you're angry,
Stand on business.
just tell me. Don't make me guess.
Stand on business.
Yeah, don't make me guess. Don't make me guess. What is he thinking, feeling, doing? What is that? I don't understand. That does not compute. Talk to me. I can take
Yes.
it. I can take it. I can take the goodbyes and the hellos. I can take
Yes.
I love you or I don't. I can take that. What bothers me is the unknowns and the games. There is no
Yeah, no time for that.
thing.
No time for that.
There should be a game at this stage in my life. No games.
When you're 23, you can play games because you have options, right?
Right.
When you get to 60, 70 years old, it's time to quit playing games because you don't have those same options.
Yeah.
So quit playing and pretending like you're something other than who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, if you're 70 years old, there ain't nothing that 25 or 30-year-old wants other than your money. Stop playing. Stop playing. Just stop. Just stop. You old enough to be their daddy or their granddaddy. You need to stop. I don't care what she says. Y'all, you need to just stop. It ain't worth it. I'm telling you, it ain't worth it.
That's a whole nother bucket of worms that you're talking about when you got the older guy and the younger woman, and I guess that's enough.
Yeah.
The time, I guess.
Here's another thing. I say,
I'm not hating on anybody who does that. I'm just saying. I'm just talking.
well, I am.
Well,
I'm hating on them because it don't make any sense. Grow up. I always say this. I don't want to be married to you. I want you to be married to me. And what I mean by that is, I don't want you to be infatuated with the fact of being married. I want you to want me.
Yes.
And then we're married.
Yes.
Because I don't ever want to feel like I could be anyone. No,
Right.
no, it's not that you just want to be married. You want to be married to me. Just like I don't want to just be married. I want to be married to you.
That's different, isn't it?
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. It's subtle in the way it's said, but the reality is, there's a lot of people out here, they just want to be married.
Right.
And then they look for somebody that'll be married to them. And that's it. No, no, no. I want you to be married to me, but you come first.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. So there is so much to take away from this conversation, but I want to, in hopes that we can get back together again. I know that's going to be next to impossible, but I'm persistent that I will nail you down sooner or later. But if we talk about seniors dating, dating and falling in love and possibly marrying again later in life, I know you and Terry, shout out to my sister-in-law who I love so much, but you and Terry have been together many years, 34 plus, and you've had your ups and downs. So even though I will admit to the audience that I'm older than you, by 12 years older than you, I still respect your wisdom and experience. So tell us, because sometimes at this stage of the game, you can't tell us anything either, right? I mean, we can experience life, but I'm still open to learning. We are still open to learning, many of us. If we wanted to date, fall in love, possibly get married later in life, what would you tell us? What would you advise us? What would you tell us to look for or look out for? Or just leave us with something?
I would say pray, prepare, and be patient. Pray, prepare, and be patient.
All right.
Pray that the Lord will send you someone.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare to make sure that you're ready to receive someone into your world.
Mm-hmm.
And then be patient and wait on God. I would have to say, every time, and I'm not talking about marriage counseling or couples counseling. When I'm talking to a single woman or a single man who really has a desire to be married.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The first one that you have the opportunity to marry, it seems like they're never the right one.
Maybe
I'm just saying, that's not scientific. I'm just telling you, in my own experience, that first one is not the right one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just part of your preparation process to see if you're more enamored with being married or receiving the person that the Lord has for you.
Wow.
Because the person that the Lord has for you is the best person for you, but it may not be the person that you want.
Uh-oh.
You see, and that's where the challenge comes. You know how it is. I want him because he's fine, or I want her because everybody else wants her. She's pretty, but looks change, situations change. After 34 years, I'm not the same 135-pound wearing a 36 regular suit guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, we need to understand that it all changes. You better find the one that the Lord wants for you,
Mm-hmm.
and marry that one,
Mm-hmm.
and you better find the guy that the hard working dude, the one that wear a uniform every day. But I'm just kidding with that. But, find the one that the Lord has for you as opposed to what you've been dreaming about since you were a little girl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because that may not be God's perfect will for you.
I like that. Thank you for leaving us with those nuggets of wisdom. And I'm going to bring this conversation to a close. Thank you for letting me corner you and nail you down for a few minutes. That is almost impossible to do. And,
My pleasure.
and we will see you after the book is published. And to my audience, I'll see you at the next episode. So, to it.
All right. God bless you.